Undertale was and still is one of the greatest indie success stories of the past decade. You got a single guy going from a Kickstarter campaign with a neat concept to beating Masahiro Sakurai so badly at his own game that he adds one of the original characters to the roster. That's why so much anticipation was building up to Toby Fox's next release. How do you follow up a game that was so influential that MatPat gives a copy of it to the Pope? Well, you show a pretty neat concept. October 31st, 2018. The Undertale Twitter drops a survey program, also known as Hey, he said it, not me. The game opens with an avatar creator, which is pretty neat. You can go bald or have some hair, all these legs are the same, and blood types A through D. Yeah, this is right. You give your creation a name, then input your own, and bada bing, bada boom, it goes into the trash. The game then hands you this kid named Chris and is like, oh, you don't get to make the choices, the Pope is employing me. So once again, you're controlling the protagonist with no eyeballs in sight, with an all-new cast of characters. If you're wondering about the old ones, don't, because they don't know about the previous game and you're just a random child to them. No matter how much you may want Sans Undertale to acknowledge you, it's all just a shout into the void. As a matter of fact, Undertale isn't even relevant in Deltarune at all, aside of a few familiar faces in the misspelling of library. So the grand adventure that unfolds this time is left up to whatever Toby Fox felt like. And boy, is it something. The introduction could pretty much be summed up as and then you're thrown into the underground. But not really, it's like another dimension with all this lore and backstory. Wait! Look at this fat jester kid. If I had to decide one of my favorite things about the game, it would definitely be the characters and the interactions held between them. Ranging from the miserable, unemployed puzzle guys forced into working as tutorials, to the Lancer fan club's fight against the master of puzzles himself.
I'm making fucking mac and cheese, and nobody can stop!
When it comes to the main fellas, also known as the LFC, you got your Not Azrael, hot-headed anime character number 1034, the best one. I do actually really like the cast of characters you get to travel along with. The fact that Susie's aggressive combat style and lack of control plays into the flow of battle is an interesting idea, offering another layer of strategy to the generally straightforward fights. Ralsei, or Ralsei, I don't care how you say it, is also just great. I love his attitude and friendly nature, especially when getting along with Susie and Lancer. Lancer's relationship with the group, while very silly, still fits with the entire tone of the game, culminating into one big emotional fight against his dad. Now if we're talking gameplay, this is just Undertale but better. Battles still had that classic flow to them that Undertale players will recognize and understand. You still got your fighting and acting, except for this time, the game doesn't really seem to care about who you try to beat up, so you can move at whatever pace you feel like. Although this time you have your orange juice bar over here. Without pulp, mind you. This fills up during bullet hell sections when you narrowly dodge an attack. You can also fill it up quickly by having a character defend. With this vitamin C, you can use magic spells from either Susie or Ralsei. One shoots an energy blast that does damage, and one heals and puts enemies to sleep. You can also get Chris abilities sometimes, but that really only occurs during special fights. If we're going to talk about special fights, we might as well talk about the Javelin counter. Deltarune itself is not a super difficult game. You can go into it without pretty much any prior knowledge of bullet hell games and get by just fine. Toby Fox decided to compensate for this by making it the most difficult fight he's ever created.
Alright, we got this Javel guy. I beat Sans, so this shouldn't be so bad. Alright, beginner's luck. Nah, we got this. We got this time. It's not worth it. It's just, no.
That aside, one of my biggest problems with Deltarune is just how short it is. It's basically the setup and recently labeled first chapter, which is going to be followed up at some point. Toby Fox is working hard at this game, and apparently ability to no-clip through reality itself, so it'll be out when it's ready. I feel like there's so much room for the world and characters of Deltarune to be explored and fleshed out, so whenever the game does come out, know that I'll be there ready to play it and talk about it, because damn, I know there's going to be a lot to discuss.
And the shadows start to grow, and the places that you know seem see. There's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold, with the truth, the promise in our hearts. Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.